Hey family, thank you so much for joining me. So I wanted to bring you another video um, and talk a little bit about the Kristy and Desmond Scott split that I just heard about actually last night. So um, I really had not watched them. I watched a 15-second video of them last night just before I heard about their split. And it was interesting that it came up like that um, for me. But what I saw with that, I think you can see my hand here. But what I saw with that was one. Now, let me put the disclaimer on this and say I really don't know their history. I haven't watched any of their videos or anything besides that 15-second video. So I don't know anything about them. So I'm going off of my intuition, of course, same way I do readings or anything else. So um, what I saw in that 15-second video was she was working really hard and he was not interested. He didn't seem to be interested in her. He didn't seem to be interested in doing this video. And he did not seem to be interested in doing, I mean, the work of, I guess, creating. But he also didn't seem interesting in general. Um, and I think now, because maybe some people would say, that's insulting. I'm not saying that to insult him, because from what I saw, she had 6.5 million followers on TikTok, I want to say, and he had just over 1 million, something like that. And from what I saw, um, she was um, very active and possibly likely the force that built their empire, if you could say that. So the reason why I was talking about the dark feminine energy is that, I've been talking about it recently, and it's been um, it's been this thing of with the dark feminine energy. For example, in the past, um, before we get into the dark feminine energy, in the past, maybe if you know, wife accused, excuse me, her husband of cheating on her, it might have been like she didn't come out and flat out say he cheated, like some other people said. She might have said irreconcilable differences. Other people, might have said, not what they said about the situation, but it might have been a totally different thing. However, looking at what has been coming out, like a lot of people that I've seen at least commenting on it, and I don't know how much they know, like, information um, connected to the situation that's true. But a lot of people are making comments and saying, she's the one that built this. Like she had 6.5 million followers, maybe he had 1.5 million. Um, she's the one who has the largest following. She's the one who does most of the work. She's the one who seems to be having fun, being silly, in the videos and creating most of the content, and he seems uninterested, really. He is on his phone, and maybe a lot of people thought that was an act, but from what I could see, like I said, I only watched the 15-second video, and what I saw was he didn't seem interested in her, in making the video and creating that content, and he didn't seem to be an interesting person. Um, so it's possible that a lot of what happened was that she attracted a large audience to them. Um, and I think a lot of people who watch their videos, their content, things that they've created, they can see how hard she has been working. And again, I don't know because I haven't really watched a lot of it, but it seemed like in that snapshot, she was working really hard and he wasn't. And I don't know if that's a snapshot that can really speak to what their relationship was like. Um, Getting to the dark feminine, then because of the energy, dark feminines would speak up for themselves, right? They would be assertive. They would say, if a person cheated on them, now we don't know. We're just saying, this is what the report was, right? But dark feminine would speak up and say, though, if a person cheated on them, it wasn't right. That she's filing for a divorce. Dark feminine would not say irreconcilable differences. Dark feminine would put their truth out there. They would say this, wasn't right. And they would step deeper into the energy and then do what she did, which is she started creating content on her own. She was commenting on whatever happened in the situation with the two of them, and saying, how can this happen when he seemed like he was so, involved, so in love, so dedicated, devoted. Unfortunately, and I was talking about this in some of the other videos, this is another reason why I wanted to make this, because lately I've been talking about some of these things that unfortunately some people's partners, and I can't speak to this situation, but I could talk about the dark feminine, and I can talk about things that have been happening to the divine feminine, and how they're breaking out of that and really getting their balance, finding their own way, so on and so on. But for a lot of dark feminines, or divine feminines and dark feminine energy, they are, like I said, speaking up. They're expressing themselves. They are not afraid to talk about if they've gotten hurt. They're not afraid to talk about the reality of a situation, the truth about a situation, because let's face it, our grandmas, some of our moms, aunties, great aunties, whatever, went through a lot of situations where, the divine feminines were really treated badly in a patriarchal system. And it's very unfortunate, but a lot of them were, and I know, like I said, grandmas, moms, aunties, great aunties, whatever, cheated on, treated badly, possibly abused, just taken through the ringer, and like husbands fathered kids with other women. They caught them cheating with other women, the husbands were bold and wouldn't stop and left them for other women, and just, you know, a lot of things that the divine feminine has gone through. And in the past, a lot of divine feminines tried to protect their masculines images, identities, and unfortunately, um, they got treated really badly. But I think a lot of women stepping into the dark feminine energy now are not taking it when, you know, they're taking care of the household. And even this is before they even, you know, have kids and things like that, that they're taking care of the household and their partners are not pitching in, that they're walking away and they're saying, you know, well, I'm not doing it all by myself. Either you pitch in or ship out. And then if they do have kids, that they're asking more for, you know, masculines to pitch in and help with childcare, help out around the house, help me cook, help me clean, help me take care of the responsibilities instead of just living this quiet life of desperation as a lot of the divine feminines did and doing it on their own. It's not fair. Helping to build, you know, like we're getting back to this, you know, Kristy Scott and Desmond Scott situation, working so hard, sorry about that, to build um, an empire, but feeling like, you know, she's, and again, I can't say for sure, but it appears like she's working really hard. She's creating, she's building, she's, you know, the engine that powers so much of it, and he gets to like kick back. And so it appears that way. And so for a lot of feminines, divine feminines, you know, coming into this dark feminine energy more, saying, you know, they're the ones who worked hard, they're the ones who built, they're the ones who sacrificed. They didn't maybe pursue their career so that they could try to do something for the family or take care of the kids or help their, you know, husbands or, you know, masculines or counterparts build their careers. And then they just get left or get cheated on or whatever. And they're being assertive more, stepping up, admitting, excuse me, speaking out more and saying, this is what happened, and admitting that they're in so much pain because of it. And I think it's different than it has been in the past, because in the past, I know I said it before, but maybe a lot of the feminines, divine feminines, would have not said anything, would have tried to protect the person's reputation, would have, you know, said, you know, it was irreconcilable differences. But in this case, you know, Kristy didn't. She said he cheated. She said, I mean, they, you know, a lot of people are saying they just got a house together. And she, you know, it seems like she's saying she doesn't care to stick around just because it's an image thing or just because, well, they got a house. It sounds like she's saying she's going through so much pain and she doesn't want to try, or maybe she did try and maybe he didn't want to try. So maybe she said, okay, well, better to, if you're thinking about the kids, better to show the kids that a person who gets, you know, if this is the case, treated badly in a situation like this, they get dogged out, they need to do something for themselves and, you know, take care of yourself. So if that is leaving a situation where you're not treated well, then that's what you do. Um, if that means that you need to, part ways now, no one, of course, wants to hurt the family, the kids, and, but then we have to decide. And, there's a lot of information still to come out about this, but we have to decide, is it going to be like, what is going to be best for the kids? And everyone's going to, come to their own conclusions about that. But unfortunately, in this situation, maybe it couldn't be reconciled. Getting back to the dark feminine energy, but it would be that, again, the person would assert themselves, they would step up, they would admit the truth, they would say it's not going to work out, they would say, and I'm not holding the bag for every single thing that happened, because this other person, whether they cheated, whether they treated the person wrong, whether they, you know didn't want to work things out, whether they thought, because if there's a problem, wouldn't you want to work it out? Again, we don't know all the details of it yet. We're just talking about what we've seen so far. But if you're trying to fight, your partner is not. You're trying to work on things, your partner is not. You're working hard to build things, your partner is not. You feel like you're fighting a losing battle, and then maybe you want to throw in the towel because it seems like they already did. And maybe they're not happy, which is fine. That's a whole nother part of it to me, with the divine feminine, dark feminine energy. That for me, um, I feel like, because the story goes, those two were together since they were 14. Okay, yeah. So that's, I mean, they're full grown adults. They got kids. They just got the house, from what I saw um, in social media. But it's like, okay, they really never had a chance to experience anything outside of each other, really, much. If they didn't date, if they didn't look around and see what else is out there. Did they separate? Did they get back together? I don't know. There's a lot of details that I don't know. But what I can speak to is, it's hard to be able to grow, to change, to see what's out there, to decide if that's really what you want. Maybe they would have split up and come back together and decided that, okay, I've looked around and you're the best thing, So, but maybe they didn't even have a chance to do that. But like, you know, getting back into it, it's like, this was an odd time. And I don't know how long ago, it happened, but if he did cheat, and if it was recently when they just got um, the house, it's like a huge commitment that the two of you just made. Wouldn't you want to tell the person before you committed to a house together? Like, wouldn't you want to tell the person? I mean, before you had kids, before a lot of this stuff, if you were not happy, and I don't know what it was that was driving what decisions he made. So again, I'm only saying what I can observe from the outside, but it would seem like you would want to tell a person, like, because they've been like this, they've had this personality for years and years. So wouldn't you want to tell them as soon as you could? Now, don't get me wrong, there's also this, it's kind of tough to express your emotions, and I know it's not really encouraged for masculines overall. So it's tough, it's really hard. But I would think that he might pull her aside and say, "Hey, things are not going well and whatever, and I know some people feel like there's a lot of pressure on them and all that, but I still think if it happened recently, and it might have happened over time, We don't know. But if it happened recently, we would think, so this is a huge commitment. It kind of tied the two of you together, maybe. But she's saying no. I mean, okay, fine. They just closed on the house, but be that as it may, she's, it looks like she's saying, I'm not staying in this situation. And it sounds like it was really bad for her. But I would think that he would want to tell her before they made such a huge commitment. But I feel like also on the other side of it, to try to be fair, maybe he saw this huge decision coming up with the two of them. And it's one more thing that may tie him to a situation that he doesn't want to be in. I just, I think it would have worked out so much for maybe better for him to say, we probably shouldn't sign this paperwork for the house, or we probably shouldn't do this, probably shouldn't do that. Now we can't say exactly why he didn't speak up, say anything before that, before that happened, before they signed on the house. But I would have thought that he would have, maybe, like I said, I know it's hard to express yourself, share your, emotions, how you're feeling and things like that. But if he was feeling like bad or feeling like he didn't want to stay in the situation, that it would have been better, it seems like, for him to say if he was unhappy. If now everyone has moments where they have questions, they have doubts, but they work it out. But it seems like really embarrassing, really sad. I don't know, let's take the lens off of them for a second. From my experience and from others that I've seen, people can be jealous because she has from what they report, 6.5 million followers. He has 1.5 million or something. That's 5 million more than he has. That's a lot, a lot, a lot. Is it possible that he was jealous, that he saw her getting bigger and bigger? Maybe he felt like she was getting away from the relationship, getting away from the family life stuff, and getting more into, her own stuff, her own career, her own life, building the successful empire. And it's possible that he could have been jealous, could have tried to stop some of the growth. That is a possibility. It's unfortunate if that's true, because you would think that that was his wife, the mother of his kids. He would want her to continue to grow, but it's possible that maybe he was jealous and didn't want her to get so big when he wasn't getting as big. I don't know. That's one possibility. But there's such talent. So, I mean, intelligence, there's energy, there's so much in the divine feminines. And, I don't know, because again, I don't know their history. I don't know. But there's so much in the divine feminine. There's so much intelligence, so much she's gifted. There's a lot of things. And so we can say that we see so much in her. I don't know, watching a 15-second video, about either one of them, but I would say the receipts also speak. When she had 6.5 million, he had 1.5 million. And I think it'll be interesting to see what happens as they are apart now. It'll be interesting to see what happens. I just know, I don't want to make it too long. I just know, though, that Divine Feminines, and I'll make more videos about this because I want to make some more focusing on the importance of really, you know, working on yourself and building yourself up. And if you need to leave someone for you, that's what you do. I would say it's important for you to know, everyone, well, maybe you know some of this stuff, maybe you don't, but I'm putting it out there because I think the message is important. Know who you are with, know who you are marrying, know who you're building a family with, a life with, a career with, know who is around you. Because sometimes you fall in love and you're blinded to the things that this person is, what they might be trying to do to you, who they are. You know, I probably already said that. Like, their motives. Are they jealous of you? Possibly. Are they trying to take things from you, your intellectual property? Are they doing things with the information that you shared with them and not giving you credit? So many things could be happening, and they could be riding your coattails, and they might be upset and jealous, and they might try to sabotage you. It's so unfortunate, but for the dark feminine energy, I'm so excited to see it coming out more and more, because it is about really, asserting yourself, standing up for yourself, speaking out, talking about the truth about what happened, being able to express if you felt hurt, being able to move on and not to carry shame because of a shameful thing that someone else did to you. Like, there's so much in that, and there's so much that I can, talk about in more videos as we go along. I'm really sorry if it probably wasn't as polished, but I think it was the truth. And I guess that's the way things are sometimes. Not necessarily polished, not necessarily perfect, but still honest. And if that's what we get, then that's what we want, right? Thank you for joining me. I know, just kind of off the cuff, that I did the live video, but hopefully you're able to watch it later and let me know what you think about it. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching my videos, for sharing, for going on this journey with me. It is a journey to put the truth out there, always. And I'm grateful that you're watching, listening, that I'm hoping that the information is interesting, that you're getting something out of it, and I'm going to bring you more videos soon. Thank you so much, everyone. Love y'all, and I'm going to talk to y'all soon for the Kristy Scott and Desmond Scott situation. If, she had someone cheat on her, I'm really sorry that happened. I'm sorry for the kids. I'm sorry, that all that stuff is coming out, and like, I'm sure they just want to be able to handle it privately. But on the other side, I guess, to benefit for a person, if they were wronged, to get so much support, encouragement, love, pouring out of all those things on a person that was treated wrong. So the truth will come out eventually. And, as we know, the spiritual scales will be balanced and justice is going to be served. All right. Thank y'all again for joining me. I'm going to see y'all next time. All right. Love y'all. Bye for now.